Doesn't thought originate as a defense against pain? The infant begins to think in order to separate itself from physical pain. Which comes first? Is thought, which is psychological knowledge, the result of pain, or is pain the result of thought? How does one go beyond the defenses developed in childhood? Doesn't thought originate as a defense against pain? The infant begins to think in order to separate itself from physical pain. That's very... Which comes first? Is thought, which is psychological knowledge, the result of pain, or is pain the result of thought? How does one go beyond the defenses cultivated or developed in childhood? Right? You've understood the question? What is the time, sir? Lord. Now, see, sir, how long one question or two questions take place. You know, really, there is only one question. If you consider all these questions, there is only one real question. What is that? Ask it, sir. One, if you had, please carefully, you're not, some angel comes along, somebody says you're asked only one question, and it must be the real question, not how am I to get rich, how am I to, who am I to marry, will my pay, you follow? But the real, deep, fundamental question.
How to eliminate thought.
Huh?
How to eliminate thought.
Who is the entity who says, how am I to do? You're not. I won't answer that question because you're unconcrete. You'll find out.
Why don't you ask the question?
Huh?
Why don't you ask it?
I've asked it. No, you're not quick enough so that she So the question is, does thought create the pain, or pain creates the thought? Understand? You put a pin into this leg, it's communicated with the brain, then the pain, then the anxiety to end that pain. The whole of that is the momentum of thinking, isn't it? The nervous reaction, the identification with that reaction, and the identification saying, I hope it'll end and I mustn't have it in the future. All that is part of the whole momentum, isn't it, of the whole movement. Why do you separate the two? Does thinking come first or the pain comes first? You understand me? Who laid the egg business, you know? That the chicken come first or the egg come first? You're missing the whole point, sir. It's not the time to go into this. Is fear, which is part of pain, is fear the result of thought? You understand? Is there fear without thought?
Is there a fear period even with thought?
Huh?
Is there a fear period even with thought?
So, the me is put together by thought. Obviously, I mean, you're successive incidents, successive ideas, and genetic heritage, and so on, so on. The me is the result of thought. I am a Hindu, I am a Catholic, I am this, I am that. You follow? I am an American, I am successful, I am a doctor, I am... So all that is a bundle put together by thought. I'm asking, sir, most of us have had pain. Have you ever experimented to disassociate thought from pain? Haven't you? Of course you have done it. To watch the pain, not identify with, sir, and say, oh, I have pain. You understand? Sit in a dentist's chair for some time and watch the thing going on. So your mind observes without identifying. You can do this, sir. I sat in the dentist's chair for 4 hours. I can tell you about it. Never a single thought came into my mind. I discovered that after I sat in 4 hours. How does one go beyond the defenses cultivated in childhood? Would you go to a psychoanalyst? Would you? No, wait, don't say no. That's how they exist. They're the modern priests. Now, would you go to a psychologist, psychotherapist, and so on, so on. There are so many varieties of these medicine men. Sorry, I'm not being rude to them. I'm just asking, would you go to them? That's the easiest way, isn't it? And we think they'll answer all the childhood problem. They can't. They may slightly modify it. They themselves say so. So what will you do? There is nobody you can go to, right? So, do you face that? There is nobody. Your guru, God, priest, psychoanalyst, including Krishnamurti. Nobody you can go to. What will you do? Have you ever faced that? That fact that you cannot Like you can go to a doctor if you have cancer. That's a different matter. The psychological knowledge that you have developed from childhood, which becomes neurotic, which most people are neurotic somehow, but and there is nobody on earth you can go to or in heaven. What will you do? Huh? How would you find out that you are neurotic? Not somebody telling you I'm neurotic, because most people are neurotic. If somebody tells me I'm neurotic, pot kettle back, right? So how shall I find out I'm neurotic? Do I want to find out? If I do, how shall I know? How shall I see it? Have I really eliminated from my thought, from my mind, the idea somebody is going to help me? Do you understand, sir? See what I have done. You understand what? The very going to somebody to help me may be the essence of neuroticism. I wonder if you see this. So, what am I to do? How am I to know in a world that is almost neurotic? All my friends, my relations, they're all slightly imbalanced. And probably I am also imbalanced. So what shall I do? Knowing there is nobody I can go to. No confession, all that. Nobody. So what shall I do? See what has happened, sir, to me? You're not meeting it. As I cannot go to anybody, then what is taking place in my mind when I have depended on others, on books, on psychologists, you follow? On authority. What has happened to my mind? You're not. Go on, sir. What's happened to your mind if you actually realize that you cannot possibly go to anybody? No, watch it, sir. Don't answer. What happens to your mind? Is neuroticism the result of dependence? I depend on my wife, I depend on the doctor, I depend on God, I depend on psychologists. I follow? I've established a series of dependence around me, hoping in that dependence I'll be secure. Right? And I discover, as I cannot depend on anybody, what happens? Oh, come on, so what happens when you don't depend? Huh?
I'm naked.
Do it, sir. Do it. You understand, sir? We are bringing about a tremendous revolution, psychological revolution, right? Right? And you are unwilling to face it. I depend on my wife. She encourages me to be dependent on her. Or I am, it's both ways. So you tell me that's part of your neurosis. I don't throw it out. I examine it. I say, you are quite right. I see this. So can I be free of not depending on my wife? Psychological, of course. Will you do it? No, sir, you won't. Because you are frightened. You want something from her, sex or this or that. Or she encourages you with your ideas, helps you to be dominant, helps you to be ambitious. You follow? That says you are a marvelous philosopher. So, to see that the very state of dependence on Allah is maybe the deep psychological neurosis. And when you break that pattern, what happens? You are saved. When you are free of the church, the priests, the popes, you follow? The whole works of all. And you understand what happens to you? What is the state of your mind? Sir, you must have such a mind to find out what truth is. Dependence has been from childhood, has been a factor against pain, against hurt, for comfort, for emotional sustenance, for encouragement. And all that has been built in you. You're part of that. If you say no more authority, religious authority, you know what happens?
Then why did Christ say?
Oh, sir. You see, impossible to discuss. Sir, before Christ there was the Buddha. 500 BC. Before him there was somebody else. So it isn't just this one person that has suddenly discovered. That's your conditioning of 2,000 years. As in India they are conditioned by 3,000 years. This conditioned mind can never find out what truth is. You may worship your images, enjoy them, but it's not true. Don't throw bombs. So, sir, that means Not to depend on anything means you are alone. Do you know what that word alone means? All one. You must, that is sanity. That sanity breeds rationality, clarity, integrity. Sorry, sir, not to answer all the other questions.